Greetings, everybody. Welcome to day one of Loyola's virtual spring study abroad fair. My name is Wyatt. I'm the study abroad advisor here. I'll introduce myself a little bit more later. But today our focus is going to be on Loyola faculty-led summer programs, and we are joined by the faculty leaders of our 7 summer programs that we'll be talking about today. So first, let me introduce my office and who I am. I work in Loyola's Center for International Education. Our director is here as well, Mariette Thomas. She also does some advising with music majors in CMM. And then I pretty much advise everyone else. Our contact information is right here in case you want to write it down and get in touch with us later. I'll also share it at the end of the presentation as well. I'll note that before we start, if you're a student, your chat is only going to be seen by me or other hosts. So if you have a question, you can submit your questions via chat, but they won't be public, okay? And with that, let me get started. So I guess the best place to start is with the question, why study abroad? Why is this a thing that should be on your radar? Why are we promoting this so heavily this week? There's a lot of reasons. And one big reason I like to share is some research that has been done. So these researchers asked people who had done study abroad programs as far back as 50 years ago. And their question was, what was the most impactful college experience that you had? And a majority of these people reported that study abroad, in fact, had the strongest enduring impact on their lives. That's more than the classes that they took or the fabulous professors that they worked with. It was study abroad that really stuck with them throughout their lives. And here at Loyola, we are actually pretty proud of our study abroad culture. You'll see the statistics on the screen that says, in a graduating class here at Loyola, about 1/3 of those students will leave with some type of study abroad experience. That's notable for us, and we're proud of that because the national average for undergraduate study abroad is about 16%. So we're just about double that, and we're always looking to increase it. So in a minute, we're going to start looking at specific summer faculty-led programs. But for the moment, I want to talk generally about what a Loyola faculty-led program is. So most of them are short-term, usually about 4 weeks or less. We have one that's usually about 10 weeks, but usually they're about 4 weeks or less. They are developed, organized, and led by Loyola professors, and generally attended by Loyola classmates as well. You travel and participate with other Loyola students. I just mentioned that. You do receive Loyola core credits, learning about the places that you visit. So there's no better way to learn about somewhere than to go there and check it out yourself. And the cool thing about Loyola faculty-led summer programs is that all of them are open to any students in good standing, regardless of your major. So if you want to do a program that looks at international relations of East Asia, you can be a chemistry major. They're open to anybody who's interested. From a cost perspective, the program fees will vary by program, and they will cover different things. So you'll want to be sure to check that out. Excuse me. Only your existing federal financial aid applies. You will not be able to use Loyola financial aid or scholarships because generally you don't have them during the summer. But if you do have any federal financial aid in the summer, you are welcome to use that to pay for it. I will take a minute to highlight 3 Loyola scholarships, though, that we do award for specifically these programs. So the LANASA is for students in the College of Arts and Sciences. The award is up to the program cost for India, Ireland, Paris, and Korea. And again, you have to be in the College of Arts and Sciences to apply for this. The RASCOB grant is a smaller scale grant from $1,000 to $2,000 per student. but it's available for all programs and all students in all colleges. And then finally, the one I want to highlight is the McKay. That is for CMM students, and it's up to the program cost for Paris and Ireland. So if you're filling out the Ireland application, you'll see the McKay questionnaire in there, and that is for you to complete as well, up to the program cost. And finally, outside of the Loyola scholarship money that I just mentioned, if you receive a Pell Grant, then you are eligible for something called a Gilman Scholarship funded by the United States Department of State. And there are several other scholarship options out there. We'll be sure to look at them together if you get in touch with me and want to know more. So now I'm going to turn it over. I'll stop sharing my screen and I will turn it over to Dr. Kim. Dr. Kim is the program leader for our summer Korea program. Dr. Kim, welcome. Thank you. You're on mute. You're on mute. Mute.
Thank you very much, White. Yeah, my name is Dr. Young Soo Kim from Political Science. I'm really glad to have an opportunity to introduce this brand new faculty-led summer program. So I'm the person who launched this program because originally I'm from there. I think it's a really great place to visit and worthwhile thinking about going there sometime in your life. And then this is a really good opportunity for you to be able to take advantage of this program. So this program is going to be a great chance to experience Asia, and you might feel quite exotic in many ways. But South Korea is quite a hip place in many ways, and with a variety of traditional and modern culture. And the society is really dynamic, a very dynamic society. And it's worth experiencing. So this program is joint program with the Jungwon University, which is one of the top 10 universities in South Korea, located at the very center of Seoul, the capital city. And Jungwon University is quite long history of international summer program, inviting many students from all over the world. So the program is very professionally designed academically and administrative standpoint. So the stay in Seoul will be very safe and then full of excitement and fun, as well as learning through experiences about Korea. At the same time, you'll be able to interact with many Korean friends and also friends from many other countries at the same time. So I'm going to show you a very short video, about 2 minutes. The video is actually made by one of the students who participated in the program. So I think it is good to visualize what the program is about rather than just listen to what I'm saying. sorry. So I think I'm gonna stop here. Right. This is the two different sessions, but I think we're gonna participate in the first session. So the program usually starts at the end of the June until the mid-July for 4 weeks. And we're going to take two 3-credit-hour courses, and one of which is going to be taught by me about international relations, Korea, international relations with Asia. That is a social science Loyola core. And that is the morning session, but afternoon session is a more exciting session, and all the students participating in the program is going to take some course called Exploring Korea and Korean Culture and Society. This is going to be counted as a Creative Arts and Culture Loyola core course. And this course is going to be more experiential learning course consisting of 5 different lectures, covering different topic of Korea. So you're gonna learn about Korean music and Korean pop culture and traditional culture, society, mostly in Korean economy, and Korean art. And this, on top of this 5 lecture, and you're gonna participate in the Korean exploration program. That is a more excursions and experiential learning program. You're gonna have a field trip to DMZ, demilitarized zone, and some river cruise, and trip to rural area, and you're gonna have some experience of traditional Korean martial arts like a taekwondo or a K-pop dance or a calligraphy. All those experiences thing is really fun and exciting thing. And the cost is $4,000, and then that cost cover the 2 courses and all activities. So if you have any question about this program and how to apply to this program, just let me know, or just you can contact the Center for International Education, especially the scholarship opportunity that the White just explained. That's really useful information for you to make a decision about participating in the program. Thank you very much.
Dr. Kim, thank you. If you have any questions about the Korea program, feel free to submit them via the chat. I do have a quick question. I'm wondering if you could talk really briefly about the course that you teach, the International Relations course. What are students going to look at and take from it?
Okay, so my major research interest in international relations in general. So I'm really focused on how international relations is going to be unfolding around Korean Peninsula or East Asian region, because nowadays the main topic of international relations is about rise of China in response to the United States. The region itself, the East Asia, is a really significant region from the strategic point of view and the power configuration point of view of the United States. So it's a really useful course to get used to what is happening there, how to analyze some kind of analytical perspective to kind of tease out what is happening on the line dynamics of international relations around the region.
And for the CAU cultural course, what would you say has been, I mean, I think we think about Korean culture as being kind of up and coming and newly influential. What do you think the biggest cultural influence is from Korea currently?
Right. So nowadays, the K-pop is really hip, and then everybody can interested in how to understand this pop culture. And for some reason, that pop culture, K-pop culture, become popular. I don't know what as a Korean, but I don't really understand why this really crazy popular in many of the world, including the United States. So this is the course that what is the nature and essence of the K-pop culture, and this K-pop culture is related to traditional Korean culture as well, and Korean society as well. So you can connect all the dots together to understand and enhance understanding about what this K-pop culture actually means and what is a fascinating aspect of that K-pop culture. So that is a part you might get exposed to, get excited about learning about.
Do you have a favorite BTS member? You like BTS?
I like BTS, but I rather focus on the American singers like The Weeknd. So I'm a really big fan of The Weeknd. Right. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Any other questions for Dr. Kim about the Korea summer program? If you do have questions at a later date, you're welcome to reach out to Dr. Kim directly or me, and I'm happy to find the answer for you. Dr. Kim, thank you very much for sharing your program.
Thank you.
Thanks. Uh-oh, there we go. Next, we have Dr. Nathan Henney, who is going to talk for a little bit about his program in Mexico. Dr. Henney, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Welcome.
All right, we're off to a better start than the last time. Anyway.
Yes, we are.
So a couple of caveats before I start here. This summer is pretty much not going to happen for this program. So I'm talking about this for future years. Hopefully some of you out there are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and you can do this in the upcoming summers. First of all, it's a little different than the other programs you'll hear about today. First of all, it's limited to only 3 people. So you need to get on this pretty soon if you want to do it. Second of all, you have to be really advanced in Spanish because you're doing a lot of independent stuff. And third, it's more independent just in general than the other programs. I'm there for the first week. After that, you're out in the different places that I'll show you in just a second. And you're out there with the Profe de Campo from our partnering Jesuit University in Puebla. It's the Ibero University there. So it's a little different than these other programs, and it's worth mentioning that. But it's a great program. It's during the summer when you live and work in an NGO in one of 3 indigenous communities in Mexico. The idea is to learn along with the Mexican national students about these different indigenous communities that make up a very significant part of Mexico, but that is still fairly marginalized. So the Ibero sends out their students. Every student in Mexico who gets a university degree has to do 450 hours of service, right? So that's very significant, right? It's more than 100 hours per year working in some sort of service. And what the Ibero does is they want their students to understand the far-flung and marginalized indigenous communities that most people in the cities don't know very much about. So they have set up these programs for their own students. Loyola is the only program that participates in this from the United States, first of all. Second of all, there's only 3 total students. So you're mostly in classes and living with the Mexican students your age who are doing their service projects to complete their university degrees. So it's certainly for an intrepid and independent person. I take you there for the first week, do an orientation in Puebla, and then take you out to the different, let me try to get this out of my way so I can use my pointer. So these are the 3 different areas that you go to Puebla first, and we do a little orientation, and then I take you out to either Chiapas, to work with the Tzotzil people in the Zapatista area, or with the Oaxaca coast, and there's a couple of different groups there, or in the Sierra Norte de Puebla, in a little town up here. So then for the next 9 weeks, you work in an NGO that is in your major field. So whatever your major is, they work to find partner NGOs so that we've had students do this in accounting, environmental studies, English, women's studies, of course, Spanish, Latin American studies, but whatever your specialty in Latin American studies is as well, we can find a group that is doing something where you can actually put on your resume having worked with an NGO, but where you're not just making copies and stapling, you're actually doing something that you're becoming an expert in and using the knowledge that you gain. And then while you're there, you take a seminar with the Mexican students who are on the service semester, as they call it. And that's with the Profe de Campo. There's a Profe de Campo in each place, a field professor that works through the Ibero. They're all fantastic people, very interesting. And you take that class in Spanish with Mexican students, and it's about whatever the particular issues are of those people in that area, like if it's defense of land rights, or if it's indigenous language issues, whatever the indigenous people there are facing is what you read and discuss in that 1 time a week seminar. The rest of the 9 hours that you get come for the work that you're doing in the NGO. The price is a little bit dependent on which housing situation you choose. You go down there and we figure out what kind of housing you want. You want to live in a house with the other Mexican students? Do you want to live in a host family? You want to get your own place, etc. So the cost is somewhere around $4,000 for those 9 hours. $4,000 to $5,000 depending on which housing you choose, and then includes your flight. That estimate includes your flight. So you need advanced Spanish. You should not just go down there not knowing anything about indigenous. We have classes that we offer, or you can just do some reading if you talk to me to sort of get up your knowledge on indigenous studies in the area. You definitely need an intrepid spirit. It is a life-changing experience, but it's not for the meek. And then, of course, you need some cultural fluency because you're actually in an area between 2 cultures, between the Mexican national culture and the indigenous cultures that form a part of it. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, for this summer, we already had enough people anyway, but now it looks like we're not going to be doing, because of COVID, the far-flung ones. We're just going to do things in Puebla. But for next summer, you have lots of time to get your Spanish up if it's not up yet. So take Spanish classes with us. Come talk to me. I'm happy to answer any questions by email or now or any other way.
Thank you, Dr. Henne. I have a question about the Spanish. You mentioned advanced Spanish. How would a student know if their Spanish is advanced enough?
The best thing to do if they don't know is talk to me, right? I mean, you don't have to be fluent, right? You have to be a little more than functional though, because there's a lot of things you're just dealing. You're taking a class with Mexican national students. It's in Spanish. You're reading theoretical texts, etc. If you are a strong student and you get through 300 or 301 or test into the 300 level, then we can talk. And some people are absolutely ready for it. Other people need to take a content class or 2, a 300 level class here or, but we got time to work on that, right? If you're in 101 right now, we could get you up there by the time for next summer 22. So.
And with respect to the service learning projects that students undertake, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about maybe a recent project that a student has done. Can you describe what they did and what that was like?
Yeah, I prefer to call it an internship more than a service learning because you're actually spending anywhere from 30 to 40 hours a week working on a project, right, in this NGO. And so it's a little more intensive than what we think about as a service learning project where you go maybe 3 times a week. This is your primary job. It's what you're spending most of your time on. And hopefully it's in an area that you're somewhat of an expert on so that they can actually entrust tasks to you. A couple of the recent ones, Vanessa Calderon just worked with a project that was working on reversing the land grabs that the Mexican government has done in Oaxaca over the last 50 years with the ejido system. So one of the things she did was she was a English major, concentration in film studies. So she produced some little video clips that help to educate people around Oaxaca, first of all, about what was going on with people that weren't in the community. And then once for people in the communities, what were the steps that they could take? What were the different agencies around? So she designed, produced, disseminated these video clips. That's a very recent example.
That's fantastic. That sounds great. I'd like to
Oh,
see.
it's really, really a great program. I'm blown away by what the students do and what they come back understanding that they did. I learned from them, right?
Great. Any other questions through chat? I don't see any in the chat. Any other questions from our audience for Dr. Henne?
Okay, I'll stop the share.
Okay. Well, students, if you do think of questions, you're welcome to reach out directly to Dr. Henne or through me. I'll get you an answer as soon as I can. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers. Next in our presentation is the one and only Michael Twillman. Michael, you there?
Hey, how you doing, Wyatt?
And Michael, along with Professor Billy O'Connell, they both lead the East Africa Summer Program. And when we say East Africa here, we're talking about Rwanda and Uganda. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
What can you tell us about the East Africa program?
So I'll do a little screen share. I got a little thing here.
Okay.
Is that showing up?
Beautiful.
All right. So there we go. So just a little overview. This program is a summer faculty-led program with myself and, like Wyatt said, Professor Billy O'Connell. It's from the end of May into June. Be traveling between Uganda and Rwanda. And there's 2 courses, one in international event production. We'll be working on primarily music events and different functions with our partner GLI, who I'll tell you a little bit more about, and some studio collaborations as well as part of that course in international event production. And then Billy will be teaching Speaking for Change, which is a course that focuses on international community work and creating ethical impact. So the thing that's really exciting about this one, it's a new program for not just us, but also with GLI. So I actually personally went and coordinated a lot of this a couple summers ago now with the folks on the ground in Uganda, the Global Livingston Institute, whose headquarters is in Denver. They're an NGO research institution, and they do a lot of great work already over there with bringing students over from other universities. And they had come to us looking to do something with some music things and events that they host and do over there as part of the community work that they do. So it'll be a real immersive experience where you'll be working with and collaborating with locals and our partners at GLI, both at Uganda and Rwanda. Everything's coordinated through our partners at GLI, so they coordinate all of our travel from place to place and get us everywhere we need to go. Food's even included, so it's a all-inclusive as far as the cost goes for that. Everything's included in that, and we get to spend a lot of time seeing a lot of different parts of East Africa and really immersing ourselves in a pretty life-changing experience. So I got a couple pictures here, but I want to see if I can get this video to play. Let's see if it'll take me to that link.
We don't see the video.
No?
I think you're going to have to kind of share a different screen. Right now, you're just probably sharing the slideshow screen.
New share. Let's try that.
I see something. There we go. See a goatee.
All right, so let's try it again. How's that?
Great, thank you.
All right. All right.
Great. It's that concert, like the footage that we just saw from that concert, is that pretty similar to what students are going to experience?
Yes. Yeah. So in the time frame that we're over there, one of the events is a large marathon with I think like 9 stages through the course. So we'll be working on some of those stages there, and then we'll be doing some studio work in Kampala with a local artist. Has an amazing studio in the city there. And we'll spend some time out at their retreat center in Tusi, out in rural Uganda, and be working with some locals there as well.
And so a couple questions about the things that students are going to do from the academic perspective. So it's really kind of like music, I'm not going to call it music industry focused, but I mean, it is about like festivals and things like that. Can you talk a little bit more specifically about like what specifically are students going to be doing with the festival aspect of it?
So we'll be there to work with and kind of do a lot of working alongside these events that already are put on with GLI and their local partners there. So the point isn't to come in and say, hey, this is how we do things with, production here from the States or whatever. We're kind of going to learn and assist and be observers as well. So a lot of the events that you see over there in these particular ones, as you saw from that video, are very community driven impactful events for various reasons, be it health or just different community aspects. So a lot of the takeaways will be is just kind of seeing how those events work over there as opposed to here, and the type of impactfulness they have on the communities there. They tend to have events driven towards more community aspects and yeah, just immersive teaching experiences.
So just getting a different perspective on music and how kind of like music festival production and social work kind of intersect. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and it's much more, that's a great point. It's much more interwoven in the culture of the events and festivals that happen over there that are put on by GLI. And so a lot of those events, as opposed to so many that we have here, which are much more commercialized and are all fun, a lot of these have a pretty impactful community-driven purpose to them.
And so for a student, because these summer programs are open to anyone, they don't have to be in the school of music or whatever. What would you say to a student who's not in music industry, outside of the event production course and the speaking for change course? what would you say to a student, let's say like a biology major who's thinking about the East Africa program?
So while we're there, we will be not only doing just music industry driven and event stuff. Um, that's just kind of one aspect of it, and kind of the way we put this together. Because as I said, GLI already partners with a whole lot, a handful of other universities, and they have programs that do focus on things like biology and stuff like that. So while we're there, we're still going to be there while some of those other students are there. We're going to see and stay at and work with some of those places as well. So like in 2C, for example, the retreat center, it's all local farming in the hills of the mountains up there. So there's a greenhouse area that they run, and they coordinate programs for different farming practices for the locals there. So we'll be able to go get our hands dirty on some of that stuff while we spend time at the retreat center. So everything kind of has that that social change aspect to it, that, not just as, commercial music aspect, if you will. So if you're looking to go get an immersive experience that, in international experience of that nature, it's going to be a real immersive one where, we're moving about as a group everywhere we go, working with partners on the ground there. So I think that kind of answers you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And do we have tentative dates with the program?
End of May into June. And so right now with COVID, obviously everything's we're kind of still waiting to see what happens.
True for
so
everyone.
if not this summer, then next.
Okay. All right. And approximate program cost and what it includes?
Yes, just over 6K. And as I mentioned briefly before, it's all inclusive. That includes cost your flights over there, all the ground transportation, all the hotel accommodations, and meals each day. So really the only thing you need to bring with you money wise is just if you wanted to spend some money on, souvenirs or, going out on your own when we're not traveling as a group. So.
Sounds good. I'll take the opportunity to point out that $6,000 does include the airfare, whereas I think all of our other summer programs do not include airfare. So really it's pretty much equal to any of the other programs. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Hey, Wyatt, there's a question in the chat really quick before we wrap up this section. So Michael, Lisa asks kind of a general question about the faculty-led programs, but specifically for the East Africa program. Is it competitive to get into that program, or does anyone who applies and meets requirements able to go?
That's a great question. With it being this first time around, we're looking to get as many interested students able to come on this as possible. It is a limited size because we travel in a lot of moving about. So a lot of vans and ground transportation situations where our group really can't be much more than about 15 people. I think the sweet spot's probably going to be around 12. And as far as requirements go, that we'll do some interviews going into it, and you just really want to make sure that you're open to that type of immersive experience. This will be, most likely for most students, very foreign from anything they've experienced here back home. We just want to make sure that someone's well suited for that sort of travel and situations.
I'll also add, Lisa, that in general, the way that kind of the application works, the program acceptance works, is that most programs, I guess, will have a maximum, and then so it tends to be first deposited, first accepted. Meaning, if 20 people are applying, we'll take the first 15 that have made the deposit. And then just to clarify, if you make a deposit and the program doesn't run for any reason, then that pretty much gets you a refund of your deposit. Is that right, Mariette? Okay, she's nodding yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Michael, thank you very much. Alexis, any more questions or no?
No.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right.
All right. Next on our agenda is the Ireland program. And my understanding is that Dr. Bingham, who was slated to present about the program, is feeling under the weather. So she's not with us right now that I can see. And since that's the case, I'll talk a little bit about the Ireland program. Now, I'm not the program leader for Ireland, so there are going to be some details that I'm not, some particularly interesting details that I'm not going to be able to talk about in the same way that she would. But if you do end up having any questions about Ireland, I'm happy to send them her way. So the Ireland program has been going on for quite a while. Our two faculty leaders are Dr. Natasha Bingham in the Department of Political Science and Dr. Rachel Wallace in the Department of History. Dr. Wallace actually happens to be from Northern Ireland herself. So a really great source of cultural information from her. So a bit of overview about the Ireland program. Students will visit several locations in Ireland and Northern Ireland, including Dublin, Galway, and Belfast. So you're not in one place for the full 4 weeks. You're moving around, seeing a lot of different sides of Ireland and Northern Ireland, which are on the same island. So, and the tentative dates for this summer, unfortunately, the program has decided that they will not run due to COVID, of course, being kind of a gray area right now. But they definitely plan to return in 2022. So if y'all are still around and are interested in Ireland, you'll be able to apply then. The program cost is $3,950. That does exclude airfare and most of your meals, but it pays for tuition, housing, which is kind of in like student dorm facilities along the way, and I believe a couple of other events and excursions, and insurance, of course. I will point out that for the Ireland program, we do accept all three of the Loyola scholarships that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. So that would be the RASCOB, the LANASA, which is only for College of Arts and Science students, and then also the McKay, which is only for CMM students doing the Ireland program, right? And you'll see a picture of students in a past Ireland program. They're hanging out by the tombstone of William Butler Yeats, a very famous Irish poet. So from the academic standpoint of the Ireland program, there are two courses. One is taught by Dr. Bingham. That one's called Comparative Nationalisms. And basically it explores theories of nationalism and how nationalism intersects with forms of identity, to include gender, religion, sexuality, class, or ethnicity in the Irish context. And that one is going to fulfill your social sciences core requirement. The other course that you'll be taking is taught by Dr. Wallace. It's called Contested Memories, Difficult Public Histories. Now, because Dr. Wallace is Northern Irish, she does have a unique insight into a period of Northern Irish history called the Troubles. And this is kind of a big focus of her course. And so during that course, you're examining the relationships between contested memories and public history through film, music, art, historical exhibitions, and statues. And that will satisfy your history core. So the program does start by exploring Dublin, which is the capital of, no, go back, buddy, the capital of Ireland, which is, a major European city. Tons of stuff to do there, lots of history and culture to explore. From there, students will travel to Galway to catch the International Arts Festival, which is a really popular event. And I'll actually show you a video here in the next slide of the Galway International Arts Festival. And then students will end the program in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And that's where they will do a real in-depth examination into the Troubles, which is a period of ethno-nationalist conflict from the 60s into the 90s. And that's where Dr. Wallace has her really unique insight about that. So let's hope this video cooperates. This is a little preview of the Galway International Arts Festival.
I was born in Galway City. Galway's always been my favorite city in the world. As an arts festival, it's always been the one that has brought the most eclectic and the most interesting work from around the world. What I enjoy the most about coming to Galway is the sort of explosion of it. It's just so concentrated to have all that creativity happen with such diversity at the same time in such a small and alive place. The point of all of that talent and all of that work is to reflect back on what's inside of everyone anyway. That celebration of the creative spark in every single person.
You just have to walk down the street in Galway to see it's an alive and electric place.
It's extraordinary thing because I always think it has it because of its geography and its proximity to this enormous ocean. The fact that it's on the edge of Europe.
Without doubt, the best arts festival in the world.
It's an elevated experience from the ordinary because it's one group of people interacting with another group of people. It is special, it is unique, and that's what's really powerful.
So you are on the program and in Galway while this is going on. So not only is it a real great in-depth kind of exploration into Irish history, but also into culture and modern art in a lot of ways. That's all I really have to share about the Ireland program. I really wish Dr. Bingham or Dr. Wallace could have been here to kind of be a lot more inspirational about it. But does anybody have any questions about the Ireland program? Alexis, are you seeing anything?
No, there's nothing in the chat, but I saw that Mariette did give some more information, gave some links on the different scholarships that are available, and then specific information, a link to the Ireland program if you're interested in that.
Perfect. Well, since there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and move on first I'll stop sharing my screen, and then I will welcome Michael Smith. Michael, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you.
How's
the audio?
Is it like 4 a.m. there or what? I hope
1 a.m.
God. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much for joining us at 1 o'clock where you are. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are?
I'm in Nepal right now. I'm on the outskirts of Kathmandu, which is just Nepal's neighboring country to India. Been here for 3 months. I was in New Orleans actually during the lockdown, during the pandemic.
Well, I hope you're well.
Thank you.
Being as Nepal is next to India, you are involved in the India summer program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Gladly. Here, I'm going to share my screen if I can.
Should be able to.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Okay. All right, so this is the Loyola Summer Study Abroad in India, as you said. The dates are this year going to be July 2nd to July 31st. We have 2 courses that are proposed, one taught by myself, Cultural and Artistic Traditions of India and Tibet, and Anthropology of Religion, taught by Eugenia Rainey. I'm going to keep this really quick because last time I think I was too, I spoke too much because I want to show a short video. But the general costs are $5,450, and this the key is that it includes airfare and 2 courses. And because the airfare is sometimes difficult to find, and it's easier for us to buy them all together. And so that's a really key difference between the cost for the India program and and a lot of other study abroad programs, is that we wrap the airfare into the course. And there are a lot of students who've taken advantage of scholarships in the past, like the Gilman and the NASA and RASCO. So there are links to information about those on the online application here, which you can link to on the study abroad website from Loyola. And so I just wanted to go directly to that for just a moment, because it's really the website has got quite a lot of information on it. I won't go into details of the overview, but you can see the 2 courses, the details for each course are there. These are Anthropology of Religion, I'm sure, and also in Cultures of Northern India and Tibet. These can be taken advantage of by students for the graduation requirements. For I'm actually, Wyatt, you could probably help me articulate that better. And okay, anyway, so
actually, Michael, sorry, we can't.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the India program website, we actually can't see that.
You can't see that. Are you not able to see my screen?
Well, I think that you've shared the PowerPoint, and I think maybe you have to do a new share to go to a.
Oh wow. Okay, great.
Yeah, Zoom makes it as complicated as possible.
Okay, my bad about that. All right, let me look.
No, you're good. I do have that information on the slide. If we can't pull it up during your PowerPoint.
Let's see.
Why don't we go to my slide?
Sorry, screen sharing is paused.
Yeah. You're lost in the Zoom screen sharing netherworld.
All right, I am. New share. Okay, got it. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Share. All right, are you able to see now? Yes, I'm sure you are. Okay, great. Right, so here, this is the key, basically, for students to come to the Study Abroad website for Loyola, and there you'll see there's 5 tabs here. We have an extra tab in the end about medical concerns, but the academics have the information about the 2 courses here. We have usually most of the classes, I think an important thing to note about my course is that most of it happens outside of the classroom. We go to a lot of different sites of cultural and historical interest, and tour them, and then talk about the art there, and we talk about or the performance that we go to. And like I was mentioning before, the costs include transportation to and from India. Students have to bring a little extra because of personal expenses. It's like gifts and extra food. And then there's information here on scholarships and financial aid, which is really what I want to draw students' attention to, because that's really one of the big questions from the beginning. And you can see here the students are hiking. We do a lot of walking around outside in the program as much as possible, try to stay away from city centers, especially this year because of probably lingering effects of the pandemic. And then finally, students will have to get a visa online, and that which we'll walk everybody through the process when we do our orientation. Okay, so how much time do I have left? Just real quickly.
You're good. You got like seven minutes. Yeah, don't go.
All right, cool. So I'm going to show just a big part of our program is what we call the Mutual Learning Partner Program, where each student is partnered with an adult Tibetan of the same gender, and they in Dharamsala. And that's really where a lot of the learning goes on, one-to-one learning as part of our program. And a lot of students have had a lot of great experiences with that, because we really are making as much an attempt to connect the students with the local community as possible, even though it is in a group experience. All right, so that said, these are students reflecting on some of their experiences with the Learning Partner Program with the Tibetan, the adult Tibetan person living in India as an exile, kind of as in the refugee community where His Holiness the Dalai Lama lives. Can you see this?
Yes, looks good.
All right, great. And the sound is coming or no? Unmute.
Do not hear the sound.
The sound, yes or no on the sound?
There's still no sound that I can hear, Michael.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm not sure how to troubleshoot that at the moment.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, I mean, students can find this on YouTube. I mean, let's see. This is labeled as the Loyola Himalayan Adventure Student Reflections here on YouTube.
Hey, so there's a comment that says you need to click share computer sound.
Share computer sound.
Is
All right.
that
Yes, that's probably right.
is that helpful? Can you find
Very helpful.
Mariette has also shared the link in the chat
Yes.
to the video if anyone needs to.
It seems like you need to stop sharing and then reshare.
Okay.
Let's give it a go. If it doesn't work, no worries.
All right.
We do have the link and we can forward that to students
Stop share.
at a later date.
Share computer sound.
Was amazing.
Right,
She
yeah.
was just such a sweet learning partner. My mutual learning partner's name was Pema, and she was amazing. She was just such a sweet, kind-hearted person. She taught me so much. She always wanted to show me things and show me around the town when I was supposed to be teaching her things. So she had such a love for learning and a love for sharing her knowledge and just experience and everything. It was really great.
For sure, and it meant a lot to me. Well, Domcho is probably just overall the most decent human being I've ever met in my life on the earth. He's just filled with this compassion. He'd bend over backwards to do anything for you. He has this immense will to learn, and not only learn, but to be affected by it. All of our conversations, we had deep conversations about politics and war. We talked about chemistry. I don't even know how that happened. And each and every time, he just made a very sincere effort to get as much out of it as he could. His story of survival from Tibet all the way to just making it through the day in India, really inspiring and really changed my life. He's a great guy.
Okay, and I have one more. And that'll wrap up my
Michael, I'm not sure that we have time for a 3.5-minute video.
All right.
But I believe, if this is right, I believe I have this video linked on the website. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Students can access that, and I'll
when
share.
they talk
that
about the nature
later.
of mind, there's often this word that comes up, luminosity.
Where am I?
Or
Oh, sorry.
there's some
I don't know.
sometimes
Right.
attempts to describe.
Zuminosity.
Okay, so I guess then we can just take questions if there are any quick questions.
We'll wait for questions to roll in. I do have a question though. The
Sure.
learning partners that the students were talking about in the video,
Mhm.
those are actually assigned before they leave. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And so they're corresponding with these people before they even leave the United States, and then they meet when they get over there. Is that correct?
Yeah, as much as we possibly can. Sometimes, especially these days, people are using email less. So actually, we often try to connect them on WhatsApp or Facebook. But yeah, the idea is that they can develop a relationship online beforehand. So when they meet, they have a basis of something to talk about. And the Tibetans are enrolled in what's called Laha Charitable Trust, is a partner organization of ours in Dharamsala in India. And these are people, mostly they grew up as nomads in Tibet, so they can't read and they only know how to speak Tibetan. And in India, in order to get a job, or if they go back to Tibet, or if they go to another country, a third country like the United States or Canada or wherever, being able to speak English is really crucial for further education as well as for employment opportunities. And so they're enrolled in order to learn English. And then of course our students are interested to learn more about the local culture or history. And so they're able to help And that's what we call mutual learning.
Fantastic. That sounds great. Alexis, are you seeing any questions?
There's no questions in the chat, but as always, as things come up, you can email Wyatt or I believe Michael as well.
Oh, yeah, I can put you in touch with Michael if you do have any questions. Michael, appreciate it very much from all the way on the other side of the world.
Thanks for the help with the with technology, and I hope you all have a great day. And also, thanks for setting this up.
My pleasure. Thanks. Good to see you. All right. The next program we're going to highlight is actually a little bit different from the other summer programs that we've been talking about. This is a spring course that students can enroll in. And here to talk a little bit more about that is Dr. Patricia Dorn. Dr. Dorn, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you all see me?
Hi,
in front of Lucy's Bar in New Orleans.
All right.
Actually,
sounds good. You're not too far from where I am, actually, then.
I'm actually out in California, but anyway, lovely to be here with you all today. And I've really been enjoying hearing about these programs. I think I want to go on all of them. They're just fantastic. But I want to tell you today about our tropical ecology field studies in Guatemala. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Looks
You
good.
seeing that all right?
Yes.
Yeah, so as Wyatt mentioned, it's a little bit different. We list it as a spring course. It actually occurs in May. It's not actually happening this year. We're going to stay tuned for next year. But it's that allows you to use your financial aid. And we do some meetings during the spring semester to prepare you for it. And it counts for all kinds of classes, as we'll talk about in just a minute. So it's academic focus. So it is like some of these other programs, it's very hands-on. You're not just a tourist in Guatemala. This really looks at the interface between health and a really sort of comprehensive understanding of health. It's called EcoHealth or One Health. So this interdisciplinary studies include both the environment as well as, the health structure and what puts people at risk for infectious diseases. How do the environment, how does the economy, how does the, post-colonial system all interface? And why Guatemala? Well, Guatemala is just a really fascinating country. It's actually slightly smaller than Louisiana. So in that tiny country, it's the most diverse and indigenous of all of Central America. There are 24 languages, 22 Mayan languages, and 2 other indigenous, and incredibly diverse ecology. So it's got 2 coasts. It's got black sand beaches from some of the 37 volcanoes. It's got white sand beaches. It's got lowlands, deserts, mountains, highlands, valleys. And so it's just a fascinating place to study these links between human health and the environment. We start in the capital city, Guatemala City. This is the central square, and they have a fabulous museum of archaeology and ethnography. And then we move to the southeast. This is the area that's endemic or present is a parasitic disease that I've spent, 30 years studying now, 27 of those in Guatemala. This is a Ladino community, and the focus here will be mostly on health. So we'll visit Centros de Salud, we'll look at the conditions that put people at risk, particularly of the parasitic disease that I study. From there, we're moving to the highlands, and it's just gorgeous. This is Lake Atitlan, very deep lake surrounded by 3 volcanoes, much more indigenous area. And here we're going to focus on sustainable agriculture. And there's a really interesting institute there where we'll stay. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. We then move for our R&R to this UNESCO World Heritage Site of Antigua, Guatemala. It's just a gorgeous colonial city. Here is Volcan Agua, framed by this very famous arch. And here's some of the local market scene. This is a great place to get all your Christmas presents, etc. And here we are at a women's weaving cooperative in one of the indigenous areas. So it's a 2-week program. And the first week, as I mentioned, is focused on health. So especially the southeast of Guatemala and, El Salvador, Honduras is endemic. It has a lot of these kissing bugs, and they live in the cracks and crevices of the adobe walls of the really basic housing that you find throughout Central America. And it puts people at risk of catching this parasitic disease. And we've developed a comprehensive program, again, called Eco Health. And one main feature of it is that we teach people to improve their own homes so that they're no longer at risk for catching this disease. So it makes the houses so that the bugs don't want to live there. They're all smoothed over. Here's some of my parasitology class, because we do help people who can't do their own homes. So this was helping an elderly woman improve her house so that she's no longer at risk for this parasitic infection. And again, we'll tour Centro de Salud, we'll tour the villages. We stay in basic but clean, comfortable lodging, and work side by side with the community. So this is very much service oriented, social justice oriented. And you really get a firsthand view of what really does put people at risk for parasitic and other infectious diseases. And of course, interdisciplinary, the second week, we look at sustainable agriculture. Maintaining the forest can keep the bugs living out in the forest, and then they don't come into the houses. And this is, I'll mention the professors in a minute, but this is my dear friend, Claudia Calderon. She's Guatemalan. She leads students to Costa Rica and Guatemala on trips. She's a professor at University of Wisconsin-Madison, and she helps out with this week. And here we work with the communities. We help them planting community gardens. Here, this is a farming cooperative, and we're working with the women who speak only Mayan languages, by the way, and planting seeds with the kids. And there's some just beautiful scenery in the highlands. We visit San Juan La Laguna. It's a very successful indigenous community. They run their own medicinal plant nursery and store. There's a women's weaving cooperative, beautiful colonial churches. We visit the coffee plantations. And then we work with this Association for Better Living that's conducting research in sustainable systems adapted for local conditions. And again, we may learn to cook with native plants with the local indigenous women, community gardens, nutrition, etc. And then we move on to beautiful Antigua. It's very famous for its Semana Santa parades. In the Easter parades, here's a Mayan music museum. And again, the famous arch. And here's streets in Antigua. They're famous for tocadores, these door knockers. There's all different types, and beautiful, beautiful colonial churches. And I said, as I mentioned, this is where you want to buy all your Christmas gifts because they're very inexpensive and they're quite beautiful. So professors, I've worked for 27 years with Dr. Carlota Monroy. She is the first woman to win the National Science Award in Guatemala. She's incredible working with the community. She's just really been a strong influence in my career. And this is me, and I've been working there for 27 years, and we're collecting kissing bugs in caves with a former student, and Dr. Claudia Calderon that I mentioned already, professor at University of Wisconsin-Madison. She's a botanist and an expert on sustainable agricultural systems, and she's from Guatemala. So just some details. Again, the dates are going to change. This is very much community engaged, hands-on, working with the community, special emphasis, looking at this interdisciplinary health, environment, economics, looking at parasitology and sustainable agriculture. And it satisfies requirements in Latin American studies, the environment program, science and context, and with a little bit of extra work can serve as a biology majors class. It'll be about this price. We'll check again, and I need to update this, but we're looking for collaborative, service-oriented, scientifically curious students, and we're looking forward to spring 2022. So happy to answer any questions, and We'd love to give you more information.
Thanks, Dr. Dorn. While Alexis checks for questions, I have one. I just want to clarify, this is a course. In order to go on this program, students have to be registered for a spring course. Is that right?
Yes, this is a spring course that you sign up for. It's considered a field course. There is a lecture course that goes with it, but for this one, it's not required. So you don't have to do the lecture and lab. The lecture is generally more focused on Belize and on Belize.
Okay. But students would have to register during the fall registration window. Is that correct?
Right. Since it doesn't happen until May, students sometimes do register into the spring, but it is a spring course that they need to register for. Yes.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. Alexis, any questions?
No other questions.
Okay, perfect. If anybody has any questions for Dr. Dorn moving forward, you can contact her directly or send your questions through me. Happy to get you an answer as quickly as possible. Dr. Dorn, thank you very much for joining us from California.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we have one program left to highlight, and that program is our Paris summer program. And so I'm going to turn the floor over to Kate Duncan. Kate, welcome.
Hi, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm excited to talk about what we normally do over in our Paris program. I'm Professor Duncan. I'm the Associate Director for the School of Music Industry, and I co-direct the program with Dr. Martin McHugh, who's the chair of the physics department. He's with us too. He's going to be our slide sharer. But I'll tell you, it's tough to go up against Patricia's beaches, but the bug part kind of mitigates the beach experience. But we'll just pretend Paris has beautiful beaches. But it's Paris, so you get that. So Dr. McHugh, would you mind sharing our presentation?
Looks good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you see that?
Yeah. So take us to the top. The Paris experience is a month-long experience that happens typically at the week after graduation. So that's like the mid-May mark and takes us all the way into mid-June. As with everything, we had planned to do something similar this year, and it's just not feasible with where we're at. So we're looking to 2022. So we're talking about May of 2022. We stay for a month, and you're looking at the entryway to the facility where we both stay and learn. It's an incredible facility that hosts day presentations for city dwellers. It hosts programs like ours. It hosts adult travel programs. So not only is it an awesome place to stay, you'll see some pictures of the rooms, a great facility for the classrooms, but it's also a really cool opportunity to hang out in some of like the bistro and cafe spaces within and interact with students of all nationalities. You'll see soccer teams from New Zealand come in. The college students that we bring usually get annoyed. Sometimes there's like a half a week of 13-year-olds who are visiting from Brussels or something like that are making too much noise in the hallways, God forbid. But it's a really great chance for our students to interact both with other Americans you'll find there, as well as students of all kinds of international descent. And like I said, it does service our housing needs and also our classroom needs, as well as our eating. They have a great cafeteria. They have two different cafeterias, because if you're in France and you're not having a good eating experience, then my God, you're doing it wrong. So they have two different places to offer breakfast and then lunch and dinner, which is all included in the trip experience. We try to make every day be a relative experience in two different functions. So when you are a student on the Paris trip, you have chosen two courses that you take with us. So myself, Dr. McHugh, and our newest member, Dr. Martin, is with us. And the three of us offer three options. Students choose two. All of those options serve your common curriculum requirement. My course, for instance, serves the creative arts and cultures. Dr. Martin's serves the wall writing about literature requirement, and Dr. McHugh's serves the Science 2 in context requirement, which is a really cool way to not be on a computer screen taking Loyola classes or not be in New Orleans for all of New Orleans amazingness taking our classes, but you actually get to be in Paris for a month taking a full 3 credit, cross that off the list of your DPCL requirement. So we build those classes into the morning, and you take 2 of those out of those 3. And then in the afternoons, we do excursions. And those excursions are obviously going to be to the hit points. You're going to see the Eiffel Tower. You're going to see the Louvre. You're going to see Notre Dame. Hopefully it's been rebuilt. We're giving them some time to get that back together so that it's ready for us specifically. But we're also taking you to places that are relative to the coursework that you're doing. So for instance, in my course, when we're talking about medieval musicians and how they transpired to, into modern day street musicians, then we go see actual display of those medieval instruments and why they may have been really great for walking minstrels to do their thing. So we try to relate everything that we're talking about in the coursework to those excursions, and that's actually part of the coursework. So those happen Monday through Friday courses, as well as the trips in the afternoon are required and a piece of the relative coursework. We do take big excursions. That means a day trip to places like we at one point went to a champagne cave and learned all about the champagne making process. But we will typically take a trip out to Monet's studio where he lived and worked and planted, or painted, not planted. Maybe he planted too, but he painted the lilacs that are so famously known. And we'll out to Giverny is where that is located. But we'll take some day trips as well, just to get us out of Paris and to get us kind of more of the French experience and make that a more round experience. Martin, would you mind flipping through our next couple of slides? I'll speak to those.
Well, I'm not sure. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing the calendar?
No, I'm seeing the Jean Monnet FIAP slide.
Okay. Not sure what happened there. Start again.
If it helps, I can share from my side, maybe.
Let's see.
I can talk a little bit while he's sharing. I can talk a little
fiddling. Yeah, go ahead.
Can talk about where we stay. The FIAP location is amazing. It's in the 14th arrondissement, and it's in this awesome little neighborhood that allows for students to go experience famous cafes that were, made famous by all of our expatriates that went over and made a more fun life over in Paris in the 20s. They can get on the metro super easy, just hop on and it takes you around the city. The beautiful thing about Paris is that, it is super walkable. I log in about 10 to 13 miles a day, just kind of traversing the city. It's extremely safe. I feel super comfortable on my own as a woman in the city, just walking around, kind of taking in the sights and experiencing what there is to experience. So that map, you can see the little arrow, and towards the bottom center is where we stay. And then everything is extremely walkable, even up all the way to the tippy top of the peripherique wall. So if you said you were on the calendar, Martin, we can go check out the calendar. So this is a mock calendar of what this year would have looked like, fond memories. It's outlines that Monday through Thursday are courses in the morning, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. And then we do our excursions, and we typically pack in 2 to 3 sites in the afternoon, where all the tickets are included. And again, those are all relative sites to what we're doing in courses. So yeah, here's our description. That science 2 in context is physics and astronomy from the metric system to quantum revolution. I am keep teasing Martin that I'm going to definitely jump into that class sooner or later. Encountering Paris is our writing about literature course taught by Dr. Martin. Writing about the city. Dr. Martin, that's a new class. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So we'll be doing two things while we're there. I'll have my students both reading people who have lived in Paris and their works about their lives there. In particular, French Lessons by Alice Kaplan is a great novel, I should say memoir, that she wrote about study abroad. So they'll be reading about study abroad by an American. And then at the same time, I'm going to have the students writing about their own experiences while there. So you'll be sort of literally encountering Paris through other people's eyes and through your own. So that's really the sort of dual side to it.
Martin, do you want to say a little brief description of your science?
Yeah. So as it says in the title, we start by talking about the metric system and maybe learn about it and think about it in a slightly different way than you have in the past. And on that map that showed FIOP, we're actually very close to the historic Paris Observatory, and we'll talk about some discoveries that were made there. We'll visit a museum that is the original laboratories that Marie Curie did her pioneering work on radioactivity. And then even in some of the other visits that we do that you might not think are particularly associated with physics, there's a church that we visit that actually has a solar observatory built into the main sanctuary of the church, which is something that I discovered on the first time I did this program, and I think it's a really interesting site. The Pantheon, a major cultural site. There's something called the Foucault pendulum, which was the first direct proof of the rotation of the Earth, done back in the 18th century. So, in addition to that, the classroom, we bring in, things from all the courses in our visits throughout the city.
And as I said, my course connects both cities are live street music capitals, renowned for it, and it connects the historical aspect of that from medieval jongleurs and street minstrels to what you might hear very soon, hopefully, on Royal Street in New Orleans. So it's just a walk through that. I think I'd like to leave a minute for questions. If anybody has any, happy to answer those. The program costs are included both in this presentation, and I know Mariette was kind enough to include the link for this program as well. So you can click there to find out more information on costs, and there are scholarships. So please don't think that this is out of reach. And Paris is just such a great opportunity to explore the world. One of the coolest parts is we give you a weekend to go travel, and students can pay like $40. Honestly, I paid $40 to get to Venice one year and get back in that weekend. So it's a great gateway to get to the rest of Europe. And even students have stayed after the Paris trip concludes to experience all kinds of places like Greece and London, etc. Any questions?
Alexis, are you seeing anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat, no.
Then I think that means you did an excellent job of covering everything.
Of course.
All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you joining us today. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers. So that's the end of the programs that we're highlighting today. Our summer faculty-led programs happen every year in normal times. So if you're interested, get in touch with me or directly with faculty leaders. I'm going to end with some next steps. So there we go. Can everybody see this? Next steps. If you're interested in any one of these summer faculty-led programs, a good next step would be to reach out to the faculty leaders to learn more or to even start your application. It's never too early to meet with an academic advisor to plan study abroad into your DPCL. So if you don't think you want to go this summer, but maybe in the future, let's still have that meeting and see how you can arrange your DPCL to make it happen. CIE has a How Connect organization page where we post all of our study abroad related events and just international events in general. We're on Instagram at Loino Abroad. Our website is studyabroad.loino.edu for more info or to make an advising appointment. And if you're free and interested, join us tomorrow and Friday to explore our semester exchange program options. It is your turn. Now it's your turn. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it very much. Students, if you have any questions, I will hang out here for a couple more minutes. You're welcome to unmute or send your question through the chat. Otherwise, thank you very much to our faculty leaders for joining us.